If you're a man over 60 and your erections aren't what they used to be, let me tell you something that might shock you. The problem isn't just aging, it's inflammation, poor blood flow, hormonal decline, and the worst part? You've been eating all the wrong things, while ignoring 5 natural herbs that could completely transform your performance in the bedroom. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, a urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of clinical experience. I've spent my career helping men reclaim their vitality, their confidence, and their erections, without relying on pills, injections, or devices. I've studied the science, treated thousands of patients, and taught physicians across the country. And today, I'm going to share with you something most doctors never will, because it doesn't come from a pharmacy. Here's the truth. 3 of these herbs you've likely never even heard of. Yet they've been used in clinical studies to improve erection quality, increase blood flow, and even raise testosterone naturally. That's right, your body still has the ability to perform like it did 20 or 30 years ago, if you give it the right fuel. So listen closely, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 herbs that can radically change your sexual health. This isn't about hype or miracle cures, it's about science, tradition, and the power of nature to restore what time has taken. And make sure you stay with me until the end, because the 5th herb I'll share is the most powerful of all. Most men don't even know it exists, but it may be the key to getting rock-hard erections again, naturally, safely, and for good. Before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss another men's health tip designed specifically for you. And if you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me create better content that truly serves you. All right, let's dive in. Because the first herb on our list is one I recommend to nearly every man over 60 who walks into my clinic struggling with weak erections. It's powerful, well-studied, and often called the king of natural performance boosters. I'm talking about Panax Ginseng, and once you understand how it works, you'll see why it's earned its reputation as nature's answer to Viagra. Herb 1. Panax Ginseng, the root of vitality. If there's one herb that I consider a foundational starting point for any man over 60 who wants to improve his erections naturally, it's this one, Panax Ginseng, often called Korean red ginseng. And I don't say that lightly. This herb is not a myth. It's not folklore. It's one of the most studied natural compounds in the world when it comes to male performance. I remember one of my patients, Richard. He was 68, a retired firefighter, the kind of man who had spent his entire life strong and dependable. But when he sat in my office, he looked me straight in the eye and said something I'll never forget. "Doc, I just don't feel like a man anymore." His erections had become soft, short-lived, and inconsistent. And that was taking a toll, not just on his body, but on his marriage, his self-worth, and his spirit. When I introduced him to Panax Ginseng, he raised an eyebrow. "A plant?" he asked, almost laughing. But within 5 weeks, Richard came back with a different energy. His posture was taller, his eyes were brighter, and he said, "Whatever that root is, it's got power. My wife noticed before I did." That's the quiet strength of Panax Ginseng. It doesn't force the body into stimulation. It supports it. It restores it. It's like handing your system the missing key and letting it unlock what time and stress have closed down. Clinically, here's what we know. Panax Ginseng works by increasing nitric oxide in the blood. Nitric oxide is the very substance your body uses to dilate blood vessels, specifically the vessels that supply the penis. As men age, nitric oxide production declines, blood flow weakens, erections lose their firmness, but ginseng reverses that trend. Studies have shown that men taking Panax Ginseng experience significantly firmer, longer-lasting erections, increased arousal, and better performance overall. In one double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, men who took 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of Korean red ginseng daily reported a noticeable improvement in both rigidity and satisfaction after just a few weeks. But beyond the science, it's about what it gives back. confidence, spontaneity, and the ability to be present in a moment of intimacy without fear of failure, and that's something no synthetic pill can fully deliver. For best results, I always recommend a standardized extract. Look for one that contains at least 5% ginsenosides, which are the active compounds. Start with 1,000 milligrams a day, ideally in the morning with food, and work your way up to 2,000 if needed. Give it a few weeks to build in your system. This isn't a quick fix, it's a steady restoration. What I love most about Panax Ginseng is that it doesn't just target erections. It improves overall energy, mental clarity, and stress resilience. That's why it's been used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine, not just for sexual function, but for total male vitality. I've seen it work in quiet, powerful ways. I've watched men come back not just with better erections, but with better moods, better relationships, and a renewed sense of masculinity. It's a reminder that aging doesn't mean decline. It means adjusting, recalibrating, and giving your body what it truly needs. And just when you think you've found the secret weapon, there's another herb. This one with a name that sounds like a joke, but packs one of the most powerful effects on male arousal and blood flow that I've seen in natural medicine. The next herb on our list has been used for centuries for its ability to produce strong, lasting erections by mimicking the very mechanism behind modern ED drugs, yet with far fewer side effects. Curious? You should be. Because if Panax Ginseng is the root of vitality, this next one is the spark. Let's talk about horny goatweed. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, go ahead and comment the number 1 below, so I know you're still with me and ready to take control of your health. Now, let's keep going and dive into the next important point. Herb 2, horny goatweed, nature's vasodilator. Now, I know the name makes people chuckle. Horny goatweed. Sounds like something you'd see on a novelty store shelf, right? But don't let the name fool you. Behind it is one of the most fascinating, well-documented herbs I've come across in my 3 decades of helping men restore their sexual function. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't take it seriously either when I first heard about it in medical school. But experience humbles you, especially when you see how something natural can change a man's life. Horny goatweed, or epimedium as it's formally known, has been used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine. The legend goes that a Chinese goat herder noticed his goats were unusually frisky after grazing on a certain wild plant. Curious, he tried it himself, and let's just say, he understood why. That plant was epimedium. Today, science has caught up with folklore, and the findings are remarkable. What gives this herb its power is a compound called icariin. Icariin is what we call a natural PDE5 inhibitor. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should, because that's exactly how drugs like Viagra work. PDE5 inhibitors help relax the smooth muscles in the blood vessels, especially those that lead to the penis. When those vessels relax, blood can rush in more freely, giving you a firmer, longer-lasting erection. But here's what makes horny goatweed different. It doesn't force the body into action the way pharmaceuticals do. Instead, it gently supports the natural process. That means fewer side effects, less dependency, and a more holistic improvement, not just in your erections, but in your overall energy and libido. I had a patient once, Michael, 72, widowed, quiet man. He told me he hadn't felt desire, let alone an erection, in over 5 years. He wasn't interested in taking pills. He wanted to feel normal again, not medicated. I started him on a simple protocol that included horny goatweed. 6 weeks later, he walked into my office, not rushed, not excited, but calm. He said, "It's like my body remembered what it used to know." He didn't want fireworks. He just wanted his dignity. And this herb gave it back to him. The key with horny goatweed is choosing a quality product. Look for one standardized to contain at least 10% icariin. The typical dose I recommend is between 500 and 1,000 milligrams daily, taken with food. And while some men notice results within days, for most, it builds gradually. It's not about shocking the system, it's about restoring balance. There's also an adaptogenic quality to this herb. It helps regulate stress hormones like cortisol. That's important because cortisol and testosterone are constantly at odds. When one goes up, the other tends to go down. So by gently lowering stress, horny goatweed can actually help your testosterone breathe again. It's one of those multitasking herbs that doesn't just help with blood flow, but with desire and energy too. The most rewarding part for me is hearing the subtle ways men describe their progress. I woke up with morning wood for the first time in years. I didn't have to plan it out, I just felt ready. She looked at me differently. These aren't just physical wins, these are emotional shifts. This is a man's identity starting to come back online. That's why I tell men, don't underestimate this herb just because of its name. It's more than a gimmick, it's a gift from nature, and it works with your body, not against it. But as powerful as this herb is, it's not the only tool you need, because erections are more than just blood flow, they're also about hormones. And if your testosterone has taken a hit, and let's be honest, for most men over 60 it has, then we need to address that too. Coming up next is an herb that's been used for thousands of years to naturally support testosterone levels, increase desire, and help men feel that deep inner spark again. It's earthy, it's strong, and it's backed by real science. If you're serious about bringing your manhood back to life, this next one may be exactly what your body's been waiting for. Let's talk about Tribulus terrestris. Herb 3, Tribulus terrestris, the testosterone igniter. When men think about sexual health, they often focus on one thing, erections. And while blood flow is important, there's another piece of the puzzle that quietly slips away as we age, testosterone. And let me tell you, when your testosterone starts to dip, it's not just your sex life that suffers. You lose energy, motivation, your sense of drive. You feel flat, dull, like you're just going through the motions. That's why the next herb I want to share with you is one I've seen reignite not only erections, but identity. It's called Tribulus terrestris, and it's known around the world as the spark behind a man's fire. Tribulus is a small, spiny plant that grows in some of the harshest conditions on Earth, dry, rocky places where most things don't survive. But this plant does more than survive. It thrives, and what it can do for the male body is nothing short of remarkable. I think back to a patient of mine named Alan. He was 66, a retired high school coach, the kind of guy who used to be full of life and energy. But when he came into my office, he was worn down. His voice was lower, slower. His wife told him he seemed different, disconnected, and privately, he admitted that sex had become an afterthought. "I just don't feel the urge anymore," he said. That one sentence told me everything I needed to know. His testosterone was likely bottoming out. After running a few labs, I was right. His free testosterone was below the normal range. I gave him a few natural strategies, including sleep and exercise protocols, but I also introduced him to Tribulus terrestris. Not a high-dose, generic powder, but a high-quality, standardized extract with at least 45% saponins, the active compounds that support testosterone production. 3 weeks later, Alan emailed me. "Doc," he wrote, "I don't know if it's the Tribulus or the workouts or what, but I feel like myself again. I'm laughing more. I'm reaching for my wife again. I even caught myself singing in the car." Those changes weren't just about hormones. They were about vitality. What makes Tribulus so powerful isn't that it dumps artificial testosterone into your body. It's that it works with your system, nudging it to produce more of its own. It helps increase luteinizing hormone, one of the key signals your brain sends to your testicles to make testosterone. That's especially important for older men whose systems have grown sluggish but still respond when properly stimulated. In clinical studies, Tribulus has been shown to raise testosterone levels in aging men, improve libido, boost stamina, and enhance erection quality. In one study of men with low sexual desire, 90% reported a noticeable increase in arousal after just a few weeks of supplementation. But what I love most is how subtle and natural it feels. This isn't a stimulant. You won't feel jittery or wired. What you will feel is a gradual return of strength, sexual, emotional, even spiritual. You start waking up with morning erections again. You start initiating touch more often. You find yourself feeling competitive, playful, alive. These may sound like small things, but to a man who thought his best years were behind him, they are everything. When recommending Tribulus to my patients, I always stress consistency. Take it daily, preferably in the morning, and give it time, at least 4 to 6 weeks. Some men feel it sooner, but the deeper hormonal shifts take patience. And remember, your body's ability to respond to these herbs increases when you support it with healthy habits: good sleep, regular movement, stress reduction. The herbs are powerful, but they're not magic pills. They work best in a body that's ready to heal. For men over 60, Tribulus can be the beginning of a new chapter, not just in the bedroom, but in how they see themselves. And that's why it's not just about testosterone. It's about reawakening the part of you that still wants to fight, to love, to live fully. And while Tribulus helps spark the internal fire, sometimes you need fuel to keep it burning, especially when it comes to desire and staying power. There's an ancient root, grown in the high mountains of Peru, that has been used for centuries to boost male libido and sexual stamina. It doesn't just help you get ready, it helps you stay ready. And the way it supports mood, energy, and performance all at once? Well, let's just say this next herb might surprise you. Let's talk about Maca root. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, drop a number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here and engaged. Now, let's keep moving forward with point number 4. Herb 4, Maca root, the Peruvian libido booster. Sometimes the most powerful answers come from the most unexpected places. High up in the Andes Mountains of Peru, where the air is thin and the soil is harsh, there grows a humble root that has been used for over 2,000 years to restore desire, vitality, and stamina in men. It's called Maca, and I can tell you firsthand, it's a game changer for older men who feel like their spark has dimmed. Unlike other herbs that target blood flow or testosterone directly, Maca works a little differently. And in some ways, that makes it even more important, especially for men over 60. Because as you age, it's not just about whether your body can get an erection. It's about whether you still want to, whether you still feel that quiet heat in your chest, that pull toward connection, that sense of being alive in your own skin. Maca doesn't just feed the body, it nourishes that fire. I remember one of my patients, Frank, 70 years old, widowed for 5 years. He'd recently started dating again and came to me with a quiet frustration. Physically, he said, he was okay, but emotionally, he felt flat. "It's like I'm going through the motions," he told me. "I want to want it, but I just don't." That kind of honesty is rare and powerful, because many men don't realize that libido, true, natural desire, isn't just about testosterone or performance. It's also about mood, energy, and how connected you feel to yourself. That's exactly where Maca shines. Research has shown that Maca supports the hypothalamus-pituitary axis, the hormonal command center of the body. This helps regulate not just sex hormones, but energy, mood, and even stress resilience. In one clinical study, older men taking Maca daily reported a significant increase in sexual desire and overall well-being without any changes in their testosterone levels. That's what makes it unique. It doesn't push your hormones, it restores balance. And it's not just the science that convinces me, it's what I see in real life. Frank began taking Maca, just a small dose daily, about 1,500 milligrams of gelatinized powder, and within 4 weeks, he noticed the difference. He told me, "It's like the fog lifted." He started feeling more enthusiastic about simple things: walks, music, holding hands, and then, slowly but surely, that deeper desire returned. He didn't need to force intimacy, it came naturally. That's what Maca does. It reconnects you with the part of yourself that still wants to feel, give, and receive. The best part is, Maca is gentle. It doesn't stimulate or sedate. It builds gradually. Many men prefer the gelatinized version. It's easier to digest and more bioavailable. You can mix it into water, a smoothie, or take it in capsule form. I typically recommend 1,500 to 3,000 milligrams per day, taken consistently over several weeks. This isn't something you take once and expect results overnight. Like many things that truly work, it takes time to build and integrate into your body's rhythm. But when it does, the results can be quietly profound. I've had men tell me that Maca didn't just help in the bedroom, it helped in life. They felt more motivated, more creative, more emotionally available. Because when you feel like yourself again, everything starts to shift. Now, by this point, you've probably realized that improving sexual health after 60 isn't about a magic bullet. It's about working with your body, feeding it what it's been missing, and rebuilding that internal system of energy, desire, and function. But there's one more piece of the puzzle that most men completely overlook, and it might just be the most important of all. Because even if you have good blood flow, even if your hormones are balanced and your desire is strong, if your stress levels are too high, or if your nervous system is constantly stuck in fight or flight mode, your body will shut things down. It's like your brain puts the brakes on everything intimate, even if your heart is in the right place. That's why this next herb is so essential. It's not flashy, it won't give you instant results, but it works quietly in the background, lowering cortisol, restoring calm, and creating the inner balance your body needs to function at its best. I call it the foundation of performance, and it's helped some of my most stressed, most frustrated patients find their way back to intimacy even when nothing else worked. Let's talk about ashwagandha. Herb 5. Ashwagandha, the silent strength builder. There's a quiet kind of pressure that builds in a man's life as he ages. Responsibilities, regrets, memories, some beautiful, some painful, and the weight of expectation. It piles up over time. And whether you realize it or not, that pressure changes you. It tightens your chest, it shortens your breath, it dulls your desire, and perhaps most importantly, it kills your erection. Not because your body can't perform, but because your mind won't let it. That's why ashwagandha might be the most overlooked yet essential herb for men over 60 trying to reclaim their sexual health. Because what good is blood flow and testosterone if your nervous system is locked in stress mode? What good is desire if your body is too tense, too anxious, too tired to respond? Ashwagandha, an ancient adaptogenic herb used in Ayurvedic medicine for over 3,000 years, works in the background. It doesn't give you a rush. It doesn't flood you with hormones. Instead, it whispers to your system, "You're safe now. You can let go. You can function like you were meant to." I've seen this play out time and time again. One of my patients, Marcus, was 64 when he came to see me. He'd tried it all: ginseng, pills, even testosterone injections. They helped a little, but nothing stuck. He'd get results for a few days, maybe a week, and then things would fade again. He felt like his body was sabotaging him. And in a way, it was, because he was living in a constant state of high stress, caring for his aging mother, financial pressure, decades of pushing through life without pause. His cortisol was through the roof. We started him on a daily regimen of ashwagandha, just 600 milligrams of a high-quality extract called KSM-66. No changes to his exercise, no new diets, just a quiet shift in his daily rhythm. Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping deeper. Within 4, he was waking up with spontaneous erections again. And when I asked how he was feeling overall, he smiled and said, "I feel like I'm not at war with myself anymore." That's the magic of ashwagandha. It lowers cortisol levels, the stress hormone that wreaks havoc on male performance. When cortisol is high, testosterone drops, blood vessels constrict, your nervous system enters survival mode, and sexual function is pushed to the bottom of the list. But when cortisol drops, everything else begins to rise. Testosterone, confidence, emotional connection, and, yes, erection quality. What makes ashwagandha so powerful is that it doesn't work through stimulation. It works through restoration. It gives your body the signal it's been waiting for. It's okay to relax. It's okay to perform. It's okay to want again. And it's not just sexual health. Men taking ashwagandha consistently report improvements in mood, energy, focus, and even strength. It's been studied extensively for its role in hormone regulation, muscle recovery, and cognitive function in older adults. In fact, one study found that men supplementing with ashwagandha for 8 weeks saw a 14.7% increase in testosterone without any other intervention. No injections, no prescriptions, just the body responding to balance. If there's one herb I wish more men would start with, it's this one. Because before we can talk about being intimate with someone else, we have to feel safe and calm within ourselves. Ashwagandha builds that bridge. It helps you feel grounded again, capable, centered, ready. I usually recommend taking it in the evening, about an hour before bed. Not only does it support hormone health, but it promotes deep, restorative sleep, and sleep is one of the most underrated tools for improving erection quality. If you've been burning the candle at both ends for years, this herb might be the gentle reset your system has been begging for. And now that we've explored all 5 of these powerful, natural solutions, each with its own unique role in restoring your sexual health, you might be wondering, how do you put them all together? What's the right way to take them, time them, and combine them so they actually work in harmony? Well, you're about to find out. Because next, I'll walk you through the complete step-by-step protocol I give my own patients, how to use these 5 herbs in a simple, daily routine that delivers real results. Not just for your erections, but for your confidence, your connection, and your sense of self as a man. Let's put it all together. 6. Putting it all together, the Herbal Erection Protocol. By now, you've heard about 5 remarkable herbs, each with its own unique power to support your body, restore your sexual function, and renew your confidence. But I understand something very important. Knowing what to take is one thing. Knowing how to take it, safely, consistently, and effectively, is another. That's what I want to give you now. Not just knowledge, but a plan. A simple, daily protocol that ties everything together and fits into the rhythm of your life. Because here's the truth. Men don't need more overwhelming advice. They need clarity, direction, a path they can actually follow. And what I've learned in over 30 years of working with older men is this. When you approach your health with a steady hand, when you combine the right tools in the right way, and when you stick with it, your body begins to respond. It doesn't matter how many birthdays you've had. It doesn't matter how long you've struggled. The male body is designed to heal. You just have to give it the right support. Let me paint you a picture of how this protocol might look in your daily life. You wake up in the morning, make a simple breakfast, and take your Panax ginseng. This sets the tone for the day, increasing blood flow, awakening your energy, and preparing your system to function at its best. Alongside that, you take your horny goatweed, a steady ally in opening the vessels that matter most, supporting circulation and helping your body respond when desire strikes. After breakfast or midday, you add in your Tribulus terrestris. This herb works in the background, gradually lifting your natural testosterone levels, not by forcing the system, but by reawakening it, like striking a match and letting the flame slowly grow. You might not notice it on day 1, but give it time, and you'll feel the difference in the way you walk, the way you think, and yes, the way you perform. Later in the afternoon, or even early evening, you take your Maca root. This is your emotional spark plug. It's the root that brings back the thrill, not the pressure to perform, but the desire to connect. It boosts stamina and mood, yes, but it also makes you want to reach for your partner again. And that matters more than most men realize. Then, just before bed, you reach for your ashwagandha. This is your closer, the one that tells your body it's safe to rest, safe to recover, safe to heal. Night after night, it lowers stress hormones, balances your system, and supports the kind of deep, restorative sleep that's essential for sexual vitality. Now, can you skip a dose here and there? Sure, life happens. But what I've seen, and what I've experienced in my own life, is that when a man commits to a rhythm, when he gives his body this kind of daily support, results begin to show up. Not in some loud, flashy way, but in quiet, confident ways. A morning erection, a sense of desire you haven't felt in years, a return of pride in your body, a smile from your partner that says everything you need to hear. And no, this protocol isn't magic. It's not a miracle. It's biology, consistency, and patience. It's a conversation with your body that says, I'm ready to take care of you now. And when you do that, the body listens. You don't have to start everything at once. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. One herb, one step, one day at a time. Because this protocol isn't just about erections, it's about reclaiming something deeper: your energy, your masculinity, your connection to the man you've always been underneath the stress, the fatigue, and the years. I've watched it happen again and again. I've seen men who thought they were past their prime return to a life of intimacy, closeness, and deep personal power. And every time it happens, I'm reminded, age doesn't end a man's vitality, neglect does. But with the right protocol, you can begin again. And now that you know the path, there's only one thing left. One message I want to leave you with. One final thought that pulls all of this together, not just the herbs or the erections, but the truth about who you are and what you're still capable of. Let's talk about that now. Final thoughts. You're not done yet. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for caring enough about yourself to seek answers. That alone tells me something important. You haven't given up. And that's where change begins. We've talked about 5 powerful herbs: Panax ginseng to support blood flow, horny goatweed to open your vessels naturally, Tribulus to reignite testosterone, Maca root to awaken desire, and Ashwagandha to quiet the stress that silently holds you back. Each one plays a role, but together they form something far more powerful: a foundation for real, lasting restoration. I've spent decades treating men just like you. Men who thought their best days were behind them. Men who felt invisible in their relationships, defeated in their own bodies. And I've watched as these same men came back to life, step by step, one choice at a time. Not because of some overnight miracle, but because they committed to doing things differently, naturally, intentionally, from the inside out. You don't need to chase perfection. You don't need to pretend to be the man you were at 25. You only need to support the man you are right now, and believe that with the right care, the right rhythm, and the right tools, your body can still rise to the occasion. You're not broken. You're not done. You're just getting started. And if you take what you've learned here and put it into motion, I promise you, what's ahead of you can be just as good or even better than what's behind. Keep going. Your best years can still be waiting.